Well, a few weeks back, it was Earth Day, and we were in the middle of a series in our message, so we told you that Earth Day was going to be postponed as far as a celebration here, but we promised you it would take form, and today it will take form. And so to begin, in honor of Earth Day and our celebration here, we're looking at the message title of Push the Rock. Push the Rock. There is a story about a mortal named Sisyphus who was walking around when he came upon a meeting of the gods. And so he decided he'd hide around the corner and kind of listen in on the gods' conversation. Well, the gods happened to be talking about the meaning of life, and he was really interested in that. So after a little while, one of the gods looked over and got a peek of it, Sisyphus, and so he called over to him and he said, "Hey, did you hear our conversation about the meaning of life?" And Sisyphus, knowing that he should not ever have eavesdropped, decided that he would lie. And he said, No, I didn't hear a word you were saying." So the gods let him go about his way. However, he began dominating life. When he returned to his normal daily routine, he was reaching all his goals. He was mastering every situation that came up. And he gave it the credit of being, because now he knew the meaning of life.
So what's the meaning of life? Think I'm going to tell you today? Well, I'm going to tell you what I think it is. But throughout Greek mythology, the gods use humanity for their entertainment and amusement, playing games with them and seeing what happens. There's a definite hierarchy which they hold very sacred. They certainly would not want mere mortals to know that they are made in the image and likeness of gods. If they knew this, there would be no need for gods. And the gods would have nothing to do. They'd have no one to lord over or to rule over. Early religions were established on this premise, on this model, and religious leaders like to position themselves between man and God, giving them authority and power, realizing if the general populace was given too much power, they could rise up and take over. Ignorance is a very valuable tool, in case you haven't figured that out. It's a very valuable weapon. The truth is that we are all one with the one. If we were not, the one would be the other. Would we be opposed to it? The truth is, we are one with all that is. This, in my opinion, is the meaning of life. We are creative and powerful spiritual beings enjoying a human experience.
So Sisyphus, knowing this truth, made a big mistake. He started telling everyone he knew what the meaning of life was. And it began empowering more and more people. And everybody was dominating their life, overcoming the hurdles they had to jump, and seeing the good, enjoying it. But eventually, the gods found out about this, because everyone seemed to be mastering life. And we know humans aren't supposed to. Humans are supposed to have a difficult time in life. Humans are supposed to be racked with negativity and frustration. They shouldn't be out there winning every minute of the day.
Yeah, so humans are supposed to have a difficult time in life, except for religious scientists, of course. And humans are supposed to be racked with negativity and frustration.
Everyone.
Yes. You know, this is the worldview that is fostered by a lot of fundamental theologies. And we are suffering the punishment of Adam and Eve throughout all of eternity. And this makes the salvation of Jesus so much more appealing, because we need Jesus to save us from this sin that we are experiencing. Man is supposedly born into sin and will remain there until accepting theological doctrine or passing out of this life into heaven. This is not a science of mind principle. We live in heaven or hell here and now as a consequence of our belief systems. We don't have to wait to go there. We can be there right now. And quite often we find ourselves there. It's a consequence of our belief systems, not as a punishment from God. We can choose to wallow in guilt or change the level of our thinking and experience peace, joy, wealth, health, abundance, whatever we desire.
However, poor old Sisyphus, he didn't know this yet. So the gods found him and decided to punish him, not only for lying, but for sharing the secrets of the gods. They all got together and they deliberated. The first god said, let's just kill him. And the second god said, nah, let's throw him in the cellar, in the dungeon. The third god said, no, that'd be too easy on him. We need something much better than that. And the fourth god said, I've got it. Let's punish him by making him push a rock up a hill for eternity. Oh, the other three gods cheered. They loved this idea. That's brilliant, they said. So the fourth god continued. How about every time he finally gets that rock to the top of the hill, it'll roll all the way back down again. Every time he thinks he's reached the finish line, he's accomplished his task, the rock will roll all the way back down the mountain. So he will live in perpetual state of frustration, anger, fear, and stress. So that's just what they did. They put him out on the hill and sentenced him to push the rock to the top of the hill as his lifetime punishment.
Yeah, a lifetime of perpetual frustration, anger, and stress. Maybe that's like living in hell, isn't it? Well, actually, this is a logical and realistic punishment. Carrying the guilt from the past is like dragging dead weight wherever you go. It's actually something we all do to ourselves without intervention from the gods. We tend to do it on our own. A lifetime of punishment. What have you been holding on to that you could release because it's no longer serving you in the present moment?
Well, Sisyphus did have quite a struggle. The first time he went to the mountain, the bottom of the mountain, he put his right shoulder into the rock and he pushed and he pushed and he pushed and he finally made it to the top of the mountain. Let go only to see that the rock rolled all the way back down the mountain. So the second time he decided he'd put his left shoulder into the rock. But this time, when he got part way up the mountain, he noticed the chafing and the rubbing was so bad that his skin was breaking and he was beginning to bleed. He finally made it to the top of the mountain in agony and pain, and the rock rolled all the way back down. So the third time he began, he decided he'd use his whole body to push the rock, and he gave it everything he had to try to accomplish this task, to make it happen. By the time he got to the top, he was physically and emotionally drained, and once again, the rock rolled back down. As we can all imagine and maybe have experienced, Sisyphus felt extremely frustrated. He started to get angry, and he started to do exactly what the gods were hoping for.
What the gods were actually hoping for was that Sisyphus would forget the truth of his nature, the truth of his divinity, where he came from actually. Knowing that a mind occupied with mundane discontent doesn't have enough mental bandwidth available to seek a more positive outcome. Have we been there before? We enter into fear, frustration, and anger because in our mind we are separated from our true source of power. We are not one with universal energy anymore. We're muddling it through this life by ourselves. We've forgotten true meaning of life.
So on Sisyphus' fourth day,
Easy for you to say.
or not, on his fourth try up the hill, he decided that this way wasn't working, and he was going to have to come up with a different plan, a different method to address his task. And so, although he was exhausted, he gave thought to how he could deal with this situation. And he simplified the plan. Maybe he couldn't make it all the way to the top in one go, but if he made it just to the next tree, or just to the next patch of dirt, or just to the next patch of grass, then eventually he would make it to the top. He had a wise plan, because a wise plan consists of two key steps. One, begin where you are, and two, take one step at a time.
Sisyphus was able to claim his power and reclaim his truth. It may take baby steps until we finally find our full sense of belief, our full element of faith that's sufficient to be able to conquer that which we wish to experience in our life, until it becomes habitual, until we just do it automatically, until we reach that moment of consciousness where we can claim, like Charles Fillmore says, I fairly sizzle with zeal and enthusiasm and spring forth with a mighty faith to do the things that ought to be done by me. That's tremendous energy, isn't it? When we feel that, we begin where we are and are taking one step at a time. As Martin Luther King says, faith is taking the first step even when you don't see the whole staircase, and then taking the next step, and then taking the next step, until you accomplish your goal.
And that's exactly what Sisyphus did. He began pushing, and the tree came and went, and he took a breath, happy to have attained that goal. And he kept pushing, and the dirt patch came and went, and he felt happy, he felt good, he felt gladdened for accomplishing yet another goal. The patch of grass came and went, and he was on fire. He was tired, absolutely, but he thought to himself, all I have to do is take one more step. And that's thinking in the positive. And once that switch, just like John shared today, and we said, that's the taught. Just like once that switch flips inside your own mind, you accept change. Your goal no longer becomes to push all the way to the top, but rather to take one more step, because you know you can take one more step.
Yeah, Sisyphus found that he could take one more step after another, and he actually was able to get to the top. You know, the size of the rock is irrelevant. It's the attitude and the beliefs that determine the weight of the task. How you look at the situation determines whether or not you're actually going to be able to accomplish it or not. You know, we show a lot of pretty pictures up here with quotes and things on them, and Deborah and I go on trips, and she's a wonderful photographer, and then I come home and I take those pictures and edit them and put things on them and things, and we use them quite often here. And one time we were on a cruise, there's a gorgeous, gorgeous sunset looking over the ocean. And first of all, just, have you ever been on a cruise? Looking out at the infinity of water, not only that it goes beyond the horizon, but it goes down about at least 5 miles below. It's a lot of water and a lot of sky. We were out at this beautiful sunset. Deborah took a picture of it, and there was a cargo ship on the horizon. And I thought, well, that's kind of cool, that cargo ship on the horizon. How often do you have to look out on a cruise and see another ship in the distance? Very rarely. But there was a pretty picture anyway. But we got it home and I said, well, I don't really want a cargo ship in the middle of our middle of our quote here. So I have the Photoshop kind of like program, and I was able to zoom in, zoom in to the cargo ship. But it looked like a little black smudge on the picture. By the time I got that, it was a mass of little pixels And I was able to click on each one of those pixels so I could change the color of each one of those pixels until I could zoom back out, and then the cargo ship was gone. I removed an entire cargo ship, one pixel at a time. Finding that what is yours to do in life is part of the meaning of life, and finding meaning in your life experiences is the meaning of life. What is yours to do in this world? What is yours to do in this life experience to make a difference in your life and make a difference in the life of people around you?
And Sisyphus did just that. He became infatuated with the process of life. He gets so excited each time he took one more step that the momentum and the energy created the next step and made it a little bit easier. So this time, when he got to the top, he wanted to get this process and enjoy this process so much that he decided, I'm not going to let that rock roll back down, I'm going to chase it back down. He gave it a big old push with his foot, and he chased it right down the hill so that he could continue this beautiful process of life. He couldn't wait to get back to pushing the rock.
Yeah, so you find it's all about the journey, not the destination. And that's all about living in the now. Living in a constant state of excited anticipation is having a current, optimistic attitude about life. When we can change our perception and perspective on our conditions in this life experience, we have a better understanding of what is ours to do. And then we can challenge ourselves to do all that we can to make this life more meaningful. We find that we can do all we can to get the most out of this life experience.
So you see, Sisyphus figured out something that some people never understand. He figured out that and realized, as we like to say in this teaching, that success is hidden in the process. So whatever we have going on, it is for us to trust the process. The goal is attained by hitting each step along the way. And the interesting thing is, there are no shortcuts. There is no special sauce. There's no magical fairy godmother. There's no one coming to rescue you. It's just you, trusting the process, trusting the universe to have your back, and realizing your success is found throughout the process. So although the story of Sisyphus is just a fun story, it contains many great ideas and examples for us as to how life works and how to work life. There was a beautiful saying, and I know it's been changed many times, but when I was about 20, I found a poster and it had a picture.
A couple years ago.
Loving pictures. Yeah, just a couple. And it had a picture from where I grew up on it. And the quote said, "Happiness isn't found at the end of the journey. It's found along the way." So wherever we are on the path, whether we're 20 or 50 or 80 or 103, wherever we are on that path, not that you're 103, but you were saying your grandmother was. Wherever we are on that path, it's always an opportunity to step into our happiness, step into our joy, and figure out, what do I have to think about, because the change is all about our own thoughts. So, some questions for you. What rock are you ready to push? What's the next adventure in your life that's waiting in the wings just for you? What idea has been calling to you, and so far you've been able to kind of push it off? What experience has your name written on it? Because you're going to have the opportunity to put that down for yourself and carry it with you. Because the question is, what rock do you need to get pushing? What rock in your life do you want to get pushing so that you can experience life in the exact way that you desire it to be? And I told you we would start a Earth Day celebration. You want to plug that in. And so each one of you is going to come forward when you feel ready, if you so desire, to participate. And there are some gold markers there, and there are some rocks. And I invite you to take the rocks from the table because the other rocks in the bowl are chocolate rocks. And you can take one home if you want to, but my intention was to have some boulders there and some cut up, but I couldn't get my sharp knife to go through one of the rocks, so maybe you don't want to either unless you want to make it a lollipop and just lick on it for a whole while till it softens
One lick at a
up.
time.
Yeah, one lick at a time. But the rocks are for you to think about, what is it in my life that's ready to shift? What needs to shift? And you don't have to have some big, awesome, drawn out. It can be, if it's money, put a $sign on your rock. If it's a relationship, put the person's first letter of their name. Or if it's just you want more love, you want a loving relationship, put an L. If you want to just feel more peaceful within yourself as you go through daily living, put a peace sign, put a capital P, or put nothing. Because it's not really about what you put on the rock, it's about what you think in your head. What rock are you ready to get pushing? And when you feel ready, you can come forward and get your rock. know that you are the master of the mental game of life that leads to the realization that all the peace, all the joy, all the abundant good lies in the process of life, the process of pushing your rock toward your destination one step at a time. Success is hidden in the process. Trust it and get pushing.